Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining today's session on what's new in organic. Shortly, I'll be handing over to Charlie, but just first, a little bit about Oban International. So, founded in 2002, Oban International is a leading award-winning digital marketing agency that specializes in international growth. Our core services include paid media, SEO, content marketing, social media, CRO, and UX, which we view through an international lens. However, what makes us really unique is our Lime network, which stands for Local In-Market Expert. And with over 450 Limes in over 80 markets worldwide, we are able to offer our clients up-to-date cultural insights. This really allows them to seize the best marketing opportunities, avoid costly mistakes, and ultimately lead to campaign success. We're also really proud to win numerous awards for our international growth partnership strategies with and campaigns that we've done with big bus tours. So without further ado, I will hand over to Charlie, who will take you through today's session. Hello, Charlie. Welcome.
Hi, Komal. Good to be
Ah,
here. Thanks for that intro. So yeah, I'm going to go through some highlights from the last 12 months. I've been doing this for 8.5 years now, and this has been pretty much the busiest year that I can remember. There's so much happening. So I wanted to give you guys just a few insights into some of the big trends and the big changes within organic. But before I start with that, I just wanted to clear something up. So when we talk about organic, it encompasses a few different things. Like Komal said, we offer SEO, content, and UX under the organic umbrella. But organic doesn't just mean Google as well. It means other traditional search engines around the world, like Baidu, Naver, and Bing, that we'll touch on. It also increasingly means social platforms as well that have search functionality, like Pinterest, TikTok, Instagram. It also means e-commerce platforms that have their own search function, like Amazon and eBay. And there are also other platforms as well, like Spotify for music and YouTube as well for video. So it's going to be very hard to talk about the last 12 months without talking about AI. So I wanted to start off with AI and what that means for organic in a few different ways. So a little tool called ChatGPT launched in November 2022, and this opened the floodgates for many different innovations when it comes to large language model output. But one of those is AI generated content for the web. And what we quickly found is that when left to its own devices, AI can generate some quite incomprehensible content, including like on the left when a site would generate obituaries automatically using tools like ChatGPT. The results were quite frankly insulting to the people who had sadly passed, like Brandon Hunter being called useless instead of sadly passed at 42. And it also produced blatantly inaccurate articles across many verticals, but we saw in particular travel, where you can see on the right here, there are not even 990 million French people in total in the world. So there's certainly not 990 million crossing the border into England in 2019. And we found that top websites are increasingly concerned about the competition from large language models. The scale of these platforms when it comes to creating content is unmatchable by humans. So a lot of publishers are starting to resist large language models like ChatGPT, using their content to train itself up. So you can see on the left, the Times has actually sued OpenAI and Microsoft because it was using their copyrighted work in order to improve its own output. And a lot of the top websites are now blocking the crawlers and the bots that these tools use to find and disseminate their own content. So that's steadily increasing through to over 20% now for many of those bots. So what is Google's stance on all of this? It does affect Google. So their original guidance for this sort of thing back in April 2022 was that for the most part it is spam and it breaks their guidelines on providing useful, helpful content. There was a lot of pressure on them to define and just bring clarity to their guidance while being sensitive to a lot of the different innovations that were happening at the time. So in February 2023, sorry, they amended their guidance to say that they focus on the quality of the content over how it is produced, which essentially was interpreted to mean you can use AI as long as it is of good quality. And they tied their guidance for AI content heavily into their EEAT principles. So their expertise, authority, experience, and trust. So the guidelines are on the left there. Things like making it easy to verify the accuracy of the information on the website, updating the site's content often, and crucially avoiding errors of all types, no matter how small they seem, which is something that tools like ChatGPT are quite bad at, really. They need very heavy human editing to do. So off the back of this guidance, we sort of expected things to improve, but really they didn't. If anything, the amount and scale of the poor quality content that we saw on sites and the spam that it was producing within search results as Google struggled to keep up was just increasing. So in March of this year, March 2024, Google released a core update to its ranking algorithm. And the main aim of that update was to reduce low quality, unoriginal content in search results by as much as 40%. They also released new policies on tackling spam, which targeted scaled content abuse. So scalable frameworks like ChatGPT were particularly affected. They also targeted sites that abused the previous authority and trustworthiness of a domain to basically provide cover for lower quality content. So we saw through March and continuing into April, really, AI only and AI heavy sites being hard hit, where a lot of their traffic just disappeared seemingly overnight. So in typical style for Google, while handling this AI content in SERPs, it's also developing its own AI products to compete with this sort of amalgamation of information that people are putting out. One of the big products that we've been monitoring that they've got in testing is called Search Generative Experience, or SGE for short. So this will use a lot of sources from around the web to produce a customized AI answer to many search queries. This is still a test at the moment. As of March 2022, some users who don't opt into their labs sort of beta testing feature may see these SGE AI overviews in search results. Currently, it's only for a subset of queries on a small percentage of search traffic within the US and the UK as well, and there's no set launch date for this to go live in a more wider sense. A lot of SEOs have also flagged issues with spammy or malicious pages being used as sources in SGE. So this is very much still a work in progress, and they're fine-tuning it as we go along. Just to add to that as well, Google are considering charging people for resource-intensive products like SGE. So that's another avenue that they are exploring, because it does take more resources to create these customized results than it would do otherwise. Cool. Google's also working on other AI products like Gemini. So you guys may have heard of a chatbot called Bard. Google rushed Bard chatbot into production to upstage the new Bing chatbot, which runs on a similar model back in February 2023. It was considered a disappointment, I think, compared to Bing's chatbot and also just the vanilla ChatGPT platform. So Google have been working a lot behind the scenes to upgrade Bard, and they eventually renamed Bard into Gemini in December of last year. So Gemini is fully multimodal, and that means that essentially you can post a picture and ask relevant questions about pictures to get the answer that you're looking for example. And they plan to potentially integrate this conversational type of AI where you can have a back and forth with it into the full search experience later in the year, or going into next year, rather than being separate like Bard was. But just to cover off some other Google news as well. So sort of conversely from the AI search experience that they're looking to develop, Google have also been looking at how they can add hidden gems from humans talking about topics and brands into the main search results. So on the left here, you can see perspectives being added into the regular SERP. So these are video-led search results from lots of different platforms where we're seeing this blending of search and social. So if you look for fashion trends, for example, you might see fashion influencers talking on YouTube Shorts or on TikTok about the latest fashion trends, rather than the plain sort of links to content that you typically see from Google. Google are also experimenting with adding forum filters within search results. We've seen a rise in people who are interested in reading forum results from places like Reddit and Quora about topics, to see what people think about certain topics, or if they have any unique advice or a unique viewpoint to add to the discussion. Google is currently in an antitrust trial in the US. It stands accused of making it very difficult for people to switch the default search engine from their browser. So Google paid a lot of money, over $26 billion in 2021 alone, to be the default search engine on Safari, Firefox, and other browsers. Which made it really difficult for other players to enter the search space and perform well. Google was using its weight essentially to maintain its dominance. So this trial is ongoing, and it has really far-reaching implications if the US government wins this antitrust trial, because Google may lose its auto-install status and its default search engine status in the US and potentially other markets as well. The company may also be split up into different divisions so that it can't use its vast scale to gain unfair advantages in emerging markets, like with AI, which could have really big implications for its competitiveness going forward. As part of this trial, we've been seeing a few different types of internal documents from Google, and lots of internal people from Google giving statements and testimony as well. This slide shows internal slides from Google that essentially show and confirm that it uses click and user data to refine its rankings over time. It feeds it back into its learning systems like BERT. So it's really important that the way your brand is shown within SERPs and all of the different search products that Google is testing that we've just been talking about, like perspectives, for example, or forum results. It impacts how your brand may appear in the future. So it's really important to put your best foot forward and try and entice people to click onto your site and to use your site and hopefully provide them a good experience. And the quote there at the bottom, I think, it sort of sums it up. With every query, we give some knowledge and get a little back. That's Google's own words. So it's worth bearing in mind. Also, outside of Google, like I said, there are lots of other players that are doing their own thing, innovating in their own way. Microsoft is a big one. So as we were saying, Microsoft has been investing really heavily into AI chatbots, as Google has. They launched a chatbot called New Bing after they acquired ChatGPT. They acquired a stake in it and used it to launch New Bing. At the time, we were thinking this would take quite a lot of market share from Google, but they failed to take more than a couple of percentage points globally. So they've rebranded New Bing into Copilot, which is a more holistic AI assistant that can help you with anything from making a meal to potentially planning a vacation. And they're also looking at weaving it into other products which help you potentially be more productive at work as well, creating presentations and Word docs, that sort of thing. So just Yandex now as well. So really big in Russia. It's taking a lot of market share from Google. You can see Google is the pink line on this chart and Yandex is the green line. Since the war started in Ukraine, Russia has been taking quite a protectionist policy with strategic industries, of which search engines are a big one of those. So it has been taking market share away from Google, that's seen as a Western product that Russia is keen to dissuade people to use. And they've actually, the Kremlin has engineered a deal to sell for the Dutch parent company of Yandex to sell Yandex to a Russian-based consortium. So the Dutch parent company is now leaving the country and keeping less than 5% of Yandex's assets. Yandex's new investors, Russian investors, include Lukoil, which is a major Russian oil company. They've got a real bargain there because Yandex was sold at a 50% discount. Russia mandates at least a 50% discount for foreign firms to sell their assets and leave the company. It's a tax on exiting Russia. So this could spell the start of a lot of changes to how Yandex is run within Russia and how its search products in particular are perceived. Yahoo, rest of the world, and Yahoo Japan, there's been a few different updates here. So they are separate. So Yahoo Japan is separate from Yahoo that operates in the rest of the world. Yahoo Global have teased us with the prospect of a brand new search experience at the moment. So this might include decoupling their search engine from Bing. Bing currently powers Yahoo search, but this may not happen forever. We may see a brand new search engine being started up again. This may also include UX updates and AI-powered features. And our head of organic, Dave, predicted this over a year ago. So yeah, it's interesting to see our predictions starting to come true. So Yahoo Japan then, the Japanese Ministry for Internal Development, I think it's called, has asked the operator of Yahoo to shed Naver's influence. So for a little bit of context, a company called LY Corp operates both Yahoo and Line. It's majority owned by a 50-50 venture between Naver, which is a South Korean search engine provider itself, and also Japan's SoftBank Telecommunications Corporation. They've combined together to make a tech and search juggernaut that aims to rival companies like Baidu and also Google as well. So with this sort of interest between Naver and SoftBank, there was a rumor that Naver would take over the search function from Google. So Google currently runs Yahoo Japan's search function. Naver was rumored to take over this. But then LY Corp was hacked in November 2023 with fingers pointed at a South Korean subcontractor that had a high level of access into the back end of LY Corp. And the Japanese Interior Ministry sort of figured out that it may be a case that over-dependence on Naver meant that LY Corp was unable to push for the proper level of security measures and to make sure its own interests were protected, which left it vulnerable to external actors hacking into lots of details that LY Corp kept of users of Yahoo and Line in particular. So this may decrease the likelihood of Naver making that jump into the Japanese market in particular by taking over Yahoo Japan's search function. But we'll continue to monitor this as well because anything could happen at this stage. So just to finish up, I just wanted to talk a little bit about upcoming changes in legislation for accessibility in particular. So the European Union has set a deadline of June 2025 for member states to begin enforcing its European Accessibility Act. So this is a wide-reaching bit of legislation which impacts a lot of different service providers in the European Union, but in particular for our clients, it has a lot of ramifications for e-commerce businesses. So e-commerce businesses must comply with WCAG standards up to AA standard. So this is a framework for ensuring that websites and apps are usable and give a good experience for people who are visually impaired or audio impaired, they have trouble hearing, things like that. So this legislation means that e-commerce businesses must abide by the standards. They must also conduct regular audits to ensure compliance, and it foster a spirit of continuous improvement as well. It's compulsory that they run regular training with staff to make sure that staff understand what's being changed and why as well. And businesses must also report on accessibility measures that they're taking and also be subject to periodic external reviews as well. So there's no concrete information on what the fines might be for not being up to standard essentially, but we're thinking it's going to be quite a significant financial penalty that will be levied on businesses that do not comply. So it's definitely worth making sure that your business is compliant if you operate in the European Union as an e-commerce business.
Thanks very much, Charlie. That was absolutely fascinating. So many things happening, so many changes going on in the world of organic, and you know they're growing bigger. But I think we're going to come to a point of maybe Google will be forced into sort of separating out at some point. We see so much consolidation happening, and I think now we're probably going to see a little bit of fragmentation.
Yes.
We need to be aware of that. That was really fascinating. Lots of things I've learned from an international perspective as well. I would just say, if anyone has any questions for Charlie, don't hesitate to drop him a line over at LinkedIn. You can find him on LinkedIn. And if you have any questions for Oban, you want to get in touch with one of our team, then head over to obaninternational.com and fill in the form, and we'll be very happy to get back to you. But if there's no further questions, Charlie, thank you very much for your time today. That was absolutely fascinating. I know we're going to do this regularly. We're going to do another one probably in 6 months' time, another
Yes, that's
check-in,
right.
and see where we're at, because this world is moving very, very fast, and
Yeah.
I'm sure there'll be a lot more developments then as well. So
Yeah.
thank you to everyone for joining us. If you're watching on demand, there will be lots of other webinars coming up as well. And yeah, thank you, Charlie.
Thank
Bye,
you, Komal.
everyone.
Thanks,
Cheers.
everyone.